Hi, welcome to Raw TV Real and Willing Television. I'm Jacob Kelly.
And I'm Rebecca Vargas. And tonight we have some very special guests with us tonight. Dr. Kent Ingle, the president of Southeastern University, and his administrative team will be with us.
That's right. We're going to hear their heart for servant leadership as well as share their vision for Southeastern University. And all around, we'll just get to see what great group of men we have leading our university.
That's right, so don't go away.
Welcome back. Here we're with our administration team. Guys, thank you guys so much for being here. Could we just take a turn, just go down the line and say who you are and what you do for our school?
Yeah, I'm Chris Owen. I'm the Vice President for Student Development, oversees spiritual formation on campus, resident life, athletics, security, pretty much everything that has to do with campus life.
I'm Brian Carroll, Vice President for Advancement. I handle scholarships, endowment, foundation, alumni association, publications, and usually pal around with Dr. Ingle while he's on the road.
Dan Mortensen, I'm the Vice President of Finance and Administration, and I'm responsible for media services and facilities, grounds, housekeeping, IT, those sorts of areas.
Kent Ingle, I have the privilege to serve as president and kind of oversee everything, I guess.
My name is Del Chittum, and I'm the Executive Vice President. And so while Kent's on the road, I take point leadership for keeping things rolling here.
I'm Roy Rowland, Vice President for Enrollment Management, and I help get students here, talk about the school, work with scholarships for students, and help retain them. So,
I'm Bill Hackett, Vice President for Academic Affairs, and I work with the faculty and am over the curriculum and all the academics.
Andrew Permenter, Associate Vice President of Academics. I work with our accreditation issues, assessment, data and statistics, and right now I'm working on our strategic plan.
Well, Dr. Ingle, did you ever think that you would be a president of a university? What brought you to where you are today?
Never on the radar did I ever think I'd serve as a president. You know, I was serving as a dean at Northwest University and thought that I was going to spend the rest of my life there. And one day I got a call and asked, would you consider Southeastern and serving as president? And it was a tough move because I love Northwest, I love the students, but coming down here and meeting the community and meeting the students, I mean, really, I came here because of students, because I love to come alongside and kind of maximize what God's doing in their lives. And so coming down here and meeting the students, I knew without a doubt this would be a great place to lead.
Awesome. And Dr. Hackett, you've been here for a while. Why have you chosen Southeastern and why do you love it so much?
I would go along with Dr. Ingle. We love students here. It's what breathes life into the campus, and we get to do it in a beautiful campus and atmosphere, and I love warm weather, surf, and all that kind of good stuff.
You surf?
Yeah.
Surfing,
No
I
way.
could see that. Who else has a great story of what brought them to Southeastern?
actually, my wife and I were down here last Christmas to visit my sister-in-law. First time I was to Florida really to spend any amount of time, and we swung by the campus, and it just, God showed up, and we saw the opportunity to interview here, and kind of a long story short, we ended up taking a position here. So I've been here almost a year, and it's been incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And what would you guys say is your dynamic as a leadership team together?
Laughter.
Wild.
Yeah, we know you guys have a great
I think
time.
freedom is a good word. There's a lot of freedom.
Yep, there's a lot of freedom in
Definitely.
between takes,
We have,
especially.
I mean, we have fun together, and the thing I think that all of us value as a team is not only do we enjoy working together, but we like to do life together.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
Great.
that makes a huge difference.
Awesome. Well, we'll be right back after this top 10.
Hi, my name is Dan Mortensen, and this is Andrew Permenter. We're going to give you our top 10 peeves about students.
Number 10, students coming in for the last 5 minutes of class, then asking, did I miss anything important?
Number 9, planking.
Number 8, students sleeping in class, then complaining that you're disturbing them when the lecture is too loud.
Number 7, playing the God card.
Number 6, students not wearing shoes to class.
Number 5, posting your every thought and action on Twitter and Facebook.
Number 4, students not wearing shirts to class.
Number 3, wearing clothes with writing in places people shouldn't look.
Number 2, students not wearing pants to class.
And the number 1 pet peeve, students making out on the lawn in front of the Addison building.
Welcome back. We're with our administrative leadership team here at Southeastern University, but I want to get to know you guys a little bit more. I'm sure you have had some crazy, funny stories being on a college campus, whether it's something you've seen or experienced one-on-one. What funny stories do you have?
You know, we just had Tim Tebow on campus,
Yeah.
and you know, he's kind of a big deal. And so it was amazing to me how many godly female students on campus felt the need to write letters of appreciation of his godliness and send pictures of themselves. And no, we had a lot of students send letters in. Could you give this to Tebow? Could you make sure he gets this?
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't give any of them. So I just want to make that clear
That's
right
really
now.
funny.
A lot of them probably
Not to
wanted
dash their hopes on the
take it
rocks,
back.
but
I had one of
yeah.
those ladies come up and say, "Did you make sure Brian gave that to him?" Yeah, I got it.
We had a kind of a funny story. We like to take, when I travel, I like to take a student with, and Brian travels. I don't take him alone, but
That's right,
with
yeah.
Brian. And,
It's an accountability measure.
Because I want to showcase our students
Yeah.
wherever we go. And so we had I won't name her, we had a female student with us, and we were at a restaurant, and we said, tell us a little bit more about yourself. And well, she started telling a story about, you know, I just broke up with a guy and all of this, and da-da-da. And so, oh, we've got the greatest guy that you need to meet him. You know, we start telling about the guy.
Yeah, he's
and
amazing.
you really like him, and his name is.
Yeah.
Well, that's who I just broke up with.
Seriously?
Relationship.
That was hilarious.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
funny. I wonder why they broke up if they were so compatible. Or you guys thought they were.
Yeah, it was
great.
one of those moments like you want to take your shoe off and go insert foot in mouth.
Oh my goodness. We definitely have a funny campus sometimes, but we'll be right back after Word on the Street with Candace Shoemaker and Del Chittum.
This is Del Chittum. I'm standing in for Candace Shoemaker right in front of the Divine Servant statue here on the Southeastern campus. I'm about to ask some of our staff, students, faculty, what they think of servanthood and what that relates to leadership. Maybe we'll find out what this servant statue actually means to us here at Southeastern. What does servanthood have to do with leadership?
I think good leaders are willing to give away some of their authority to those who follow them, and by giving away that authority, they retain, in some sense, their own authority.
For me, the relationship is humility, and God is constantly calling us to a state of humility of who we are in perspective to who He is.
When you look at the concept of servant leadership, I tend to believe it's laying down your desires, your needs for the rest of the team.
If you think of the model of Jesus and what Paul wrote about him in Philippians 2, then it has everything to do with leadership, where it's this emptying of yourself in order to serve others.
I really think servanthood is really inconveniencing yourself for somebody else.
What is this symbol here of the Divine Servant statue? What does that mean to you?
Well, I actually walk across this statue a few times a week, and when I see it, it's symbolic of washing one another's feet, really taking on, like I was saying, one another's needs, their desires before your own.
I think it really means that when Jesus came to earth and He taught His disciples, He was really teaching them to really think less of themselves and more of others first.
It reminds me of the humility of Jesus and the humility of God, that God isn't characterized just by being all-powerful, but what he did with his power is become a baby and became a man and then died on a cross. And that humility should characterize my vocation here as a teacher in my response to students, my ministry to students.
When it came in, it was as though it was an attitude of, we will not portray ourselves on this campus as I'm better than you, or I'm going to one-up you on this campus. It's more the attitude of Jesus is ultimately better. And if Jesus, my master, our master, is the one that's setting the example and saying, I'm here to help you, I'm here to serve you, then who am I to do any different?
From hearing everyone's thoughts on servanthood and leadership, for us it really means living out the way of Christ. It means our lives reflecting the life of Christ, the teachings of Christ, that we live out the Jesus way. We put others first, we put their ideas first, we champion the cause of others before our own. I don't know about you, but for me, that's a culture and a community that I'm excited to be a part of.
Welcome back. Well, here at Southeastern University, we really value servanthood, and we want our students to become servant leaders. So what does that mean to you guys? What do you view as servant leadership, since that's our motto here, in a sense? President Engel?
Well, to me, servant leadership is others-oriented. You're constantly, how can I come across in a way that can meet their need and serve them? It's a sense of humility of spirit. It's a sense of empowering those that you have the privilege to come alongside. So that's, in essence, how I feel about servant leadership.
I know definitely for me coming to this university, the servant leadership theme was what really got me attracted to it. So for you, what is servant leadership?
Yeah, Andrew?
Well, I think, I'm teaching through the book of Philippians right now, and I remember this verse that says, look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. And I think that encapsulates the idea of just trying to learn to be less self-centered and more looking at what other people need, and in that way you serve Christ when you serve others.
Yeah. Del, in your position here at Southeastern, how do you feel you can show servant leadership? Exemplify that.
It is putting others first, and I think sometimes we have a tendency to say, well, we're going to lead within our preferred style or all those kinds of things, but it's really looking at what kind of leadership is required for the moment, not necessarily what is my preference or what's easiest for me to do right now, but it's what's called for in the moment. I think with Jesus being the ultimate servant leader, sometimes we think in terms of servanthood, well, it's the person that's willing to wash the toilets and all that kind of stuff, but Jesus never rode the boat and he didn't go get the donkey. So it's going after the situation at hand and saying, hey, how can I best serve people? Jesus, he was a servant by, instead of spending time with just his disciples and people that were in need, he oftentimes gave up those times to help the people that really needed his help in the moment.
Yeah. How about Dan?
I think the quality that sticks out for me with servant leadership is sacrifice. It's the going beyond what you might normally do in your own strength. It's going the extra mile so that the persons that you're serving, they know that you're willing to do anything to help them be successful and to accomplish what God has called them to do. And it's hard to be truly a servant leader if you're not willing to expend all you have, everything, with the Lord's help to empower those that you're serving, and that they sense that about you. They sense that you care about them, you care about their success, and you're willing to do anything you possibly can to serve them so that they can accomplish what God's called them to do.
Dr. Engel, as the president of our university, what do you want servant leadership to look like at this university?
Well, I think about characteristics or values of what it means to live that kind of life. So I think of humility of spirit. I think of a listener, being a listener. I think of being one who empowers, who always looks through the eyes of that person that you have the privilege to come alongside and serve. And Del said it well. It's absolutely being others-oriented, and every decision we make, every type of design that we intend for this university to embody has to embody that kind of value, attitude. It's how we live.
Definitely. Chris Owen, as being in charge of all the students and being involved with them, how do you think that you would tell them how to start being that way, being a servant leader? Because we aren't all in leadership positions technically, so how should we start as students to be a servant leader?
Yeah, I found that we don't have to tell students. Most of the students that are here, they came because they want to make a difference beyond a great paycheck, beyond success, which we want them to have, and it's going to come with the talent and level and abilities that our students have. They want to use it for the betterment of other people and the glory of God. So what we've found is we don't have to focus on structuring. We actually are just creating an environment where students are free to dream and chase after those dreams, and we're just empowering them. And so we just think that the culture here is so strong that a new student coming on campus, it's hard not to be swept up into the idea that God has a plan for your life, and here's the place to practice that, to play around with it, discover your gifts, and try now. We encourage students, do it now. If you have a dream, start now.
Wow. And what areas have you seen that happen on campus? Have you seen that at all on campus right now, like certain positions?
Wow, probably the best example, I was speaking in chapel one time, and I was speaking a message called What If?
Yeah.
And just calling students to dream. And I started asking students, if money were no object, what would you do? And a young man stood up on the front row and said, I would create a business, I'd start a business, and give the proceeds to build orphanages in Zambia. And I just, from the platform, I said, why are you waiting? Why don't you do it now? And that young man ended up being our student body president and now works for me as our global and local outreach coordinator. He started that business within 6 weeks and was giving proceeds to help orphanage start. Our students are doing it now.
That's incredible.
And that's just one of many stories.
Dan,
Rebecca, I'd like to add,
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's a misnomer that to be a leader, you have to have a position. And part of your question was, how do we start now? We're not all student leaders. Well, actually, we all have opportunities to serve. We all have a great example is your roommate. When they're down, when they have a need, you're there for a reason. God has placed you in their path to help meet that need. And if we just look at servant leadership as positional, then we'll miss it. And persons who are not serving now are not going to magically become servant leaders when they get a position. That's great. Now's the time to be servants. And then when you have an opportunity to have a leadership position, then you'll do that through the servanthood that you've already embraced.
And to that point, Robert Greenleaf, who first coined the phrase servant leader, in 1977 talked about that it starts with a need to serve first. And I think that's what, one of the things we talk about all the time, and Chris does a great job with this, if we can teach our students to serve the community here and love Lakeland, they can do that anywhere in the world.
That's true, yeah.
And to have the type of students that we have and that just have a heart for serving and loving, that makes it so easy for us having to go out into the community and tell that story. It makes it really easy.
What would you say about leadership that isn't really about servanthood? Do you find trials or anything like that amongst that type of leadership?
Leadership that doesn't care about serving, it just wants to be in leadership. How have you faced that just in the world as it is?
I think that there's all types of leaders and different types of leadership styles, and I think you can learn from, take the positives from any leader, and obviously disregard the negatives. But I think with this community, this leadership team, that's one of the big values that we embody. Is that we're here to serve this community, come alongside, help empower, whether it be staff, faculty, use our God-gifting abilities to the best of our, those are resources that He's gifted us with, so we need to be responsible with that. So,
and I think that sort of leadership that you mentioned, Jacob, is eventually going to turn people off and they can see through that. When I look at the John 13 passage where Jesus washed Peter's feet as well as the rest of the disciples, which is what our statue represents, the beginning of that chapter, Jesus says, it says about Jesus that he knew where he came from and he knew where he was going. Yeah. So I think of servant leadership as, first of all, knowing our relationship with God and that he loves us unconditionally and has a plan for our life and created us with a purpose. And that I don't have to please anybody other than him. Yeah. And I have to fulfill that. And Jesus wasn't worried about what the other disciples thought about him when he took up this servant role and washed their feet. And I think our role here at Southeastern is really to help students to find out who they are in Christ, help them to see that they are loved unconditionally. Yeah. And it's not about proving anything to the world, only fulfilling our responsibility to the Father. And as our president always talks about, finding that divine design, that divine destiny. Yeah. And once we know that, then we're going to go and fulfill that. And that's part of that is going to spill out into servant leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Well, we'll be right back after this food for thought.
Dr. Hackett.
Yes, sir.
Every morning at about 5:30 a.m. you send out a tweet.
I do.
Why?
Why?
Why at 5:30 in the morning?
Actually, I started tweeting because Charlie Dawes challenged me to at least tweet once a day, so that's what I do. So I'm up early in the morning. It's the first thing I think about after I eat breakfast.
Just get it out of the way.
Get it out of the way.
Why tweet something so profound at so early in the morning, though?
I get tired of reading people's tweets that really aren't going anywhere or just tell me that they just ate breakfast or what they had for breakfast. So yeah. I just feel I would rather leave a little bit more profound thought for them.
Right. So how do you get to a certain thought or to a certain statement for the morning?
Well, as I go through my devotions in the morning, I read a lot of different things, and when I come across a little one-liner that's less than 140 characters, I keep it in my computer for my daily tweet.
Put it in the archives.
Yeah, put it in the archives.
Do you realize how many lives you're impacting?
No, I don't.
With your tweets?
I think it's 455 right now.
Is that how many followers you have?
They're their followers. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's about twice as many as I have.
All right.
This is food for thought. Chew on that.
Welcome back. This past week, we asked our Southeastern University students and our Twitter followers what are some questions that they wanted to ask the administration team. So
What's Twitter?
He's joking.
Just kidding.
He's joking.
So the first question is for Dr. Engel.
Sure.
I know you get a lot of questions about this, but how do you get so buff?
I have a great pharmacist in Bower Hall that supplies.
No, you weren't supposed to tell anybody that.
Is that
discipline every day, man. Getting up and working out.
Awesome. The natural way, of course.
How early do you have to get up to start working out?
Actually, in fact, we work out together.
Yeah. Really?
And we get up 6, hit the gym. Yeah.
Pretty normal. It's good.
Yeah, I'm on that routine too.
Yeah.
All right,
And
Dell.
it's showing.
We've got a good one for Dell. Twitter followers asked, what kind of shampoo and conditioner do you use? And Jake was talking about this earlier. He really wanted to know.
I was actually in the shower shampooing my hair when I thought, I wonder what shampoo he uses. I'm not lying.
You know what? I just, whatever my wife buys, which is usually whatever's on sale. I think right now it's Pantene.
That's
is
good.
that okay?
Yeah.
Is that
with the
right?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
You pronounced it well?
It hurts that herbal.
Herbal essences. No, it's Pantene Pro V.
All right, for anyone who just wants to ask this, what is your favorite vacation spot? Cancun.
Dan, didn't you say something about Alabama?
Hawaii.
Alabama's really nice, actually.
Nice. There's some places.
There's a really nice place. My in-laws used to live
There's no such
near
place.
Mobile Bay. Yes,
No.
it's beautiful. Called Fairhope.
Greenbow, Alabama.
But actually, my favorite place is called Yakutat, Alaska, which is where I grew up.
Ooh.
And it's
Wow.
an awesome place,
Yakutat.
full of animals, and
That's in Alaska?
it is.
Is that where they film where bears attack?
It is not.
My. Chris, where's your favorite vacation
Costa
spot?
Rica. By far, more surf spots per square mile than any other place on the planet.
So you surf too?
Yes. And,
Father and son.
There it is.
I agree. Jaco on the Pacific coast of Costa Rica is the best place to go. Yeah.
Okay, so craziest thing you guys did in college. Gotta be honest now.
I kind of want to hear what Brian has to say.
Me too.
This is Raw TV, right?
Yep.
Right, real and willing.
Why am I nervous right now? Right now.
I think I got a tattoo in college.
Yeah?
That was probably the craziest thing I
you
could say on camera that I did.
You still know where it is?
I haven't found it yet, but I've heard it's nice.
hidden.
You believe that you still got one?
I do. I believe it.
Okay. Does anyone else have any?
I got one.
Yeah?
We lived on campus. It was what's now Valley Forge, but before it was that. And things were tight, and we had guns, and we would shoot squirrels on campus that ran across from the trees and so forth.
This is a great advertisement for Valley Forge.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
I'm from Pennsylvania.
You have to hunt your own squirrels.
Okay, things were tight.
Things were tight.
Did you eat the squirrel?
Yeah.
We ate the squirrel.
You ate the squirrel?
Squirrel, rabbit, yeah.
Saw an advertisement.
It tastes like chicken.
Southeastern
It tastes like
immediately
chicken.
after.
Tastes like chicken.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Engel, I really want to know what the craziest thing
cook
you
it
did
right.
was in college.
Well, actually, I've shared the story. It's kind of that if only I had known story with my wife, Karen. If only I had known Karen before I started dating her sister in college. And I actually had been dating her sister, Bev, for a little bit.
Wow.
And she introduced me to Karen, my wife, and I knew immediately I was with the wrong sister. And
The old Rachel
so
Leah
I did.
syndrome.
So I dumped Bev, and I waited a good length of time, I think a couple weeks, and then I asked
That's great. That's
Karen
great.
out, and you know, I mean, we've been married now 27 years.
Wow.
Family gatherings are still
Awkward.
a little weird,
Yeah.
but you know, it's all good.
That is
It's
great.
all good.
Well, on that note, here is What's the Word?
We've been talking about in this episode servant leadership. A lot of times when we use the word leadership, it gets equated with position or power or status. But Jesus had something a lot different in mind when he addressed his disciples about what it meant to be a leader. Matthew chapter 20, we capture a glimpse into Jesus dealing with his disciples, arguing who's the greatest. Verse 25 says this, Jesus called them together and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be the first must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." The idea of servant leadership is to discover your divine design, your gifts, talents, and your influence, but not use it for your own gain, but actually serve other people to advance the kingdom. That's servant leadership.
Thanks, guys, so much for watching our show. If you like us, check us out on Facebook for more show updates and subscribe to our iTunes U podcast. Thanks. And subscribe to our iTunes U podcast.
If you want to get more information about Southeastern University, go to seu.edu. That's seu.edu.
And as always, don't forget to live it raw.
Live it raw. Peace.